Go. Hello and welcome to the Bears, Birds, and Brews podcast. This is a show about the Chicago Bears, the Atlanta Falcons, and craft beer. My name is Asif and my co-host is
Nabeel.
And on today's episode, we are talking about the Superb Owl. Some of you may have watched the Superb Owl last night. Nabeel, did you watch the Superb Owl yesterday?
I did.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the main topic of today's show. And I also might give Nabeel a panic attack at the end of the show, depending on what happens with Chicago. But before that, we got some beers to talk about. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and open my beer. Nabeel beat me to it. I'm sitting here doing the talking. Nabeel's pouring his beer. I'm pouring my beer. Nabeel, what are you drinking today, my friend?
So, in honor of yesterday's game, I have a beer from the state of Florida, specifically from Tampa, and it is from Magnanimous Brewing, and I have a German-style Helles lager, brewed with a Pilsner malt and German hops. So, luckily, my good friend at Exhibit Ale, Jesse, was able to have one of these cans lying around. He just gave it to me. So shout out Jesse, Exhibit Ale, downtown Lawrenceville. Check it out. There's also another location in Snellville. So check out Exhibit Ale in Snellville and in downtown Lawrenceville. But yeah, I have a nice Helles style lager. Here we go. About to try it. I am drinking it out of a halfway crooks glass, so kind of keeping up with the lager theme.
Right, lager, baby.
There we go, baby. If you want to take a screenshot of that real quick, Asif, go right ahead.
Oh yeah, you're gonna take the screenshot, right?
No, you take it. You got it.
Okay, let's see. Oh man, my computer's kind of weird. I had two questions for you though, Nabeel. One is it Tampa, Florida, or is it Tampa Bay, Florida? Do you know, like, what does it say on the can? I'm very curious about this. Just thinking about this yesterday.
This says, all right. It does not say.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it says Tampa, Florida. It says Tampa, Florida.
So, okay, I guess people go back and forth between Tampa, Florida, and Tampa Bay, or is Tampa Bay not a real place? I don't know. I don't know.
That makes me think, is part of Green Bay, Wisconsin just called Green?
Right, or something, or like, where's the Bay in Tampa Bay? I guess it's like right there. Because it's also the Tampa Bay Rays too. It's not the Tampa Rays, it's the Tampa Bay Rays and the Tampa Bay Lightning. You know what I mean? So,
I don't know.
Okay, another fun fact for you real fast. I searched Tampa Bay in Google and fireworks came up. So if you're a Bucs fan, make sure you go get your celebratory fireworks on the internet because they're happening right now. And then the second question I have for you, Nabeel, is how many of those beers do you think Gronk had last night? Or today?
This specific beer or beers in general?
Well, that specific beer because it's a lighter lager beer, but then beers in general. So you could take that both ways.
The answer is 69 regardless, no matter what question you're asking.
Oh, really? I was thinking at least 7. I mean, he's got to have at least 7. Well, Brady had at least 7.
Gronk how about this? 6.9. 6.9.
6.9 works. 6.9 is the answer. What would you rate that beer that you just had a sip of?
Again, this is a Helles lager, nice, easy drinking beer right over here, sitting at 4.5.
He got the smell test going and everything.
I mean, I feel like I can kill probably 6.9 of these. So
there you go. That's the number that you need to know today. Is 6.9.
I mean,
I'm drinking.
Yeah, it's very good. I really enjoy this. I mean, this is really nice. What are you drinking?
So I am drinking another Foam Brewers. It's the last Foam Brewers that I got out of my haul from Stout Brothers Roswell, or Cannon Street Beer Market, I guess is the business name. Shout out to those folks. The guy Mark over there, the bartender, he's super cool. I know him. And this is the Foam Brewers. I had 2 of these left after we recorded the show last week, Nabeel, and I was determined to drink both of the 2 beers, the Foam Brewers beers I had remaining, during yesterday's game. One in the first half, one in the second half, because it was supposed to be the best game of the year. However, that did not happen, unfortunately. And I have this beer now, which is it's called the Horizon Lines. And the reason I went with this one today, it's an Imperial IPA. It's 11% ABV. So, got to get the Monday off on the right foot. But then this has tangerine and peach in it. So because we're sticking with the Florida theme, I figured a little something citrusy coming from the state of oranges is not a bad way to go about it. Since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, Tom Brady now has
Spoiler alert. Come on, bro.
Spoiler
People
alert,
may have not seen the Super Bowl yet.
I know. Yeah. Well, if you haven't, spoiler alert. Also, if you just woke up, Tom Brady has more rings than any other team in NFL history. So he himself, by himself, one guy has more rings than any team in the NFL. So I don't know, where do we start with that, Nabeel?
I don't know. What did I put on the agenda?
Okay, well, you put superb out, so we can talk about the game. Let's talk about the game itself. What did you think?
So the game did not live up to the hype. I was expecting, it to be a closer game. I thought it was going to be 31-28 Tampa. That did not come to fruition. Now, Tampa did win, so I was right on that end of it. But I thought it would be a much closer game, and it wasn't. But I do think the reason why it wasn't a much closer game was due to the fact of what I thought was going to be the biggest factor for Kansas City, which was them losing their offensive lineman. I mean, I believe the next gen stat that came out that everyone in football is quoting right now is that Patrick Mahomes ran 497 yards throughout the game before throwing the ball, meaning he was literally always under duress. He was running around, and yet, he still made some amazing potential plays. Like, to be honest, I think the best play I saw yesterday was done by Patrick Mahomes on an incomplete pass, where you saw the Derek Jeter throw to first base, but instead it was a 30-yard pass into the end zone that was dropped by a wide receiver when the football actually hit the wide receiver in the face.
Yeah. No, and
that
he
was
laid
the
out.
best incomplete pass in the history of football.
Right.
Hands down.
The picture is going viral on the internet because he's laid out flat and he's throwing this. I mean, it is literally like a baseball throw. I mean, I don't know. I think that's the only way to describe it. It's like he threw a baseball, and he was pretty accurate with it. I mean, about as accurate as you could have been for an incomplete pass.
And the other thing was he threw another pass 2 plays before that.
Literally, he played before that.
Yeah, it dropped into the corner of it hit the left pylon, the left back pylon. It actually hit that. And I was just like, well, yeah, at that point, Mahomes just saw that left pylon and he threw it at that, hoping someone would dive for it. And it was almost caught there too.
Yeah, I mean, that play, I'm fairly certain, if it wasn't 2 plays before, I'm fairly certain it was literally the play before the one that you were just talking about. And I almost thought that play was a touchdown. It looked like the guy got his hands on the ball.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, the crazy thing about Patrick Mahomes is it's crazy that it was as incomplete as it was because we're used to seeing him complete those passes. That's almost the crazier part is the fact that because it's incomplete, it's almost a bigger deal than if it was complete because he does it all the time. I mean, at least from what I've seen.
This was the first time in a game that Patrick Mahomes started that he didn't score a touchdown. I would believe that. I think that's a factual statement.
I'm fairly certain too, to go to another fact, this is the first time he lost by double digits in his NFL career, as a starter anyway. So, yeah, I mean, we'll talk more about that legacy in just a minute. As far as the game goes, it would say, it's very boring. It completely didn't live up to the hype. At one point, I felt like I was watching the Patriots play again, honestly, because they would just clamp them down on defense. The great offensive guru on the other sideline and on the other team, the great quarterback, was completely neutralized. When was the last time you saw that? It was probably Bill Belichick doing it to Peyton Manning or Phillip Rivers or whoever else that they played during that run. And then Tom Brady is just on target with everything. Clean pocket the whole day, right? And he's just making throws, and he's getting his guys involved. Like Gronk had 2 touchdowns, Antonio Brown had a touchdown, Leonard Fournette had maybe his best game of the season.
I think every touchdown that was scored in the Super Bowl yesterday, each one of those players were not two of those. Well, okay,
Three
each
of
one of
them.
those players were not on Tampa the year before. So
Yeah.
Gronk scored 2, Fournette scored 1, and Antonio Brown scored 1.
Right.
None of those players were on Tampa the year before.
Not only not the year before, none of those players were on Tampa until Tom Brady got there and said, hey, we should go get – I mean, at least with 2 of them, with Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski, he recruited them specifically to play. And sure,
all were free agents. All were like players that were like readily available. Not Gronk because I guess he was retired, but still.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you because what's crazy is the whole thing with Tampa Bay's offense was, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, which is a lethal combination, 16 weeks out of 16. And then you got Ronald Jones, who had a great year. Now you add in 3 other studs, and those 3 other studs are what ended up propelling them to a Super Bowl victory behind who's undoubtedly the greatest quarterback of all time. But, yeah, the game was pretty boring. Unfortunately, it almost feels like kind of surreal, and I feel a little empty that it's over. Maybe because football season is over, but one, but 2, I think we're all hoping to get a little bit more from that game. And at least it was over early. The halftime show we could talk about real fast for a second, which I had a lot of high expectations. I was kind of disappointed with it. Cool effects. He's got the great meme and GIF going around on the internet.
I mean, listen, if you are memed I feel like these days, if you can be memed, then it's a success. So I will say it's a successful halftime show. But the other thing I'll say is like no one was going to live up to Shakira and J-Lo from last year. No one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's up for debate. Obviously, I think with COVID, it changes the whole game in terms of like who would have been available to do such a show.
The only way that Shakira and J-Lo from last year could have been beat is if you would have brought Shakira and J-Lo back again.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only way.
And
that's the only way.
Yeah, I mean, so the halftime
and maybe
show
throw in Rihanna as well or something. I don't know.
Excuse me. That's why I say I do think there are other potential star performers out there who could have done as good a job or better, but due to COVID, due to whatever, it didn't happen. The Weeknd is a great artist. Did you know that he funded that whole $7 million performance at halftime by himself?
I think that's stupid. I don't know why he would do that.
Well, but like you said, because he became a meme out of it, it's a success. And
but still, I mean, like, I don't like performers paying for their own halftime show. I feel like the NFL should be paying for that shit. They make enough money.
I mean, or is it Pepsi should be paying for it? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Well, regardless, The Weeknd got a lot of people a solid payday yesterday. All the crew, all the cast members. I mean, if he paid for all of it himself, hey, that's how you use your wealth for good. So kudos to him for doing that. I'm sure we're gonna hear and see a lot more of him. Because of this performance that he had. So that's that. I think the most exciting part of the game was probably the streaker, and even then, I was like, "This kind of sucks." I was bored, man. I was hoping there.
The most exciting part of the game was what?
The streaker, not the streaker, but the guy who ran on the field. That was like the most exciting part of the game, and it was like,
know what? I enjoyed the game. I mean, it wasn't a great game. It wasn't the best Super Bowl. Like there's been many better Super Bowls, but it was still a good game. I enjoyed it. I mean, I felt like with the Mahomes factor, there was always hope that they would have a comeback. I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs lost. They just ran out of time.
But do you think, despite not scoring a single touchdown all game, that they somehow would have scored a touchdown and eventually gotten to 34 points to get a win if they could have stopped Tom Brady? I mean, I think they got beat. I don't even think the refs did anything.
I was making a joke. I mean, so I will say there were some shady calls. There were I'm still skeptical about that Mike Evans pass interference call that was there, and
That
also
definitely
on.
looked like incidental contact to me.
Well, I think that was contact, but I don't think it was a catchable ball. And also also on the amazing Patrick Mahomes throw that I am still befuddled by, where he's literally the baseball throw. There was so much contact, but like you would just assume like Patrick Mahomes throwing that way that he was not going to complete that pass. And I think that had a lot to do with why there was no flag. Um, but regardless, I mean, there's a lot of I mean, I will say that Todd Bowles should be a head coach in this league. What Todd Bowles did defensively, he should have been the MVP of the game, not Tom Brady, not anyone on offense. Todd Bowles should have been the MVP of the Super Bowl because he literally called the perfect game. He called the perfect game against Mahomes. And yeah, there's amazing defensive players. The linebackers are amazing. The front seven of Tampa Bay is ridiculous. But Todd Bowles did that.
So to your point, two things. One, I don't think that I mean, yeah, there were some questionable calls, and of course, when the calls happen, dictates a lot of how the game plays out. For example, the Mike Evans thing, I didn't agree with. I thought that was a terrible call. And then, like a lot of these calls happened earlier in the game that allowed Tampa to build its lead. But I do think that they flat out won. I mean, like
Oh
you
yeah.
said, they held Patrick Mahomes out of the end zone. Like they won that game fair and square. They dominated them. They they own them. But with Todd Bowles, we know he's been a head coach before. That didn't work out. So I know at the end of last week's show, you also said that you think Bruce Arians might step down and give Todd Bowles the opportunity to be the head coach. I guess the verdict is still to be determined on that.
I think Arians already came out and said he's staying. So I don't think my prediction's gonna happen. But I thought it was pretty cool that there was a report that did come out. Now I didn't realize it was Jason LaCanfora because Jason LaCanfora and I are the same level of insider. We have the same insider sources, who is literally nobody.
Except for
So
yourself, right?
yeah.
And
So
he
I
doesn't
didn't
even
realize.
listen to this podcast, so he might
Yeah.
not even be as informed as you are, my
I
friend.
didn't realize that was Jason LaCanfora who was saying that. So it's Jason LaCanfora should basically be Jason Lawkin no one because he literally talks to nobody. He just makes absurd broad statements and hopes it sticks. So yeah, my apologies about that. But at the same time, I thought it made sense.
Yeah, I mean, but just like Andy Reid stepping down for Bieniemy makes sense. Just like Bill Belichick stepping away for Josh McDaniels makes sense. I mean, there's tons of head coaches and assistant coaches who are in that same position that haven't been turned over yet. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But the other thing I think becomes a greater question because now we can talk about Tom Brady essentially is how much of the Bucs roster had to do with their success. Like Todd Bowles is a great defensive mastermind. He got it. He did it good in Arizona, right? That's why he got the head coaching job with the Jets. When he got to the Jets, and I guess because he didn't have the same players or the same offense or whatever, he didn't
He
have the success.
actually he was fine on the Jets. I mean, I think he only had one losing season on the Jets. He was a damn good coach on the Jets. They just expected more and they pulled the cord too fast on the Jets. He was better than Adam Gase. I mean,
Oh, no doubt.
if you look up his record as a head coach of the Jets, I think he might actually have a winning record overall as a head coach on the Jets, or it might be very close. He was a very good head coach on the Jets. Um, so I think Todd Bowles will be a head coach by next year. I mean, I would love him to be the Bears head coach next year, to be honest. I mean, I think he's a very good head coach. I just think that defensive head coaches don't get enough credit these days.
So let's see. I'm sorry to tell you, Nabeel, but Todd Bowles' first season with the New York Jets in 2015, he was 10-6.
Okay.
However, after that, he went 5-11, 5-11, and 4-12.
Okay.
So he had literally one good season with the Jets, and I mean, unfortunately, he did lose his job, but now he's the supposed MVP of the Super Bowl, or certainly deserves a lot of credit for the ring.
I think he's an MVP of the Super Bowl. I think his game plan against Mahomes was amazing, and I think he'll be head coach by next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think without a doubt you can say that while Tom Brady is going to get all the credit and all the glory for the Bucs winning and what he did in the offseason to recruit these players, the Bucs defense was the best part about their team all
Can I have a
season
hot
long.
take? Can I have a hot take?
I had plenty yesterday, so go for it, my friend.
You had a lot of play. You had plenty, but I think mine actually makes sense. My hot take of the day: the Super Bowl MVP should not have been Tom Brady, and I want to give it to Todd Bowles, but it won't be Todd Bowles either. The Super Bowl MVP should have been Gronkowski.
Okay.
Didn't Gronkowski get the first two touchdowns of the game, and
Yes.
essentially win the game? I mean, he put up Gronkowski on his own put up 14 points. Kansas City got 9.
Yeah.
Gronkowski, not Brady. Gronkowski should have been the MVP of the game.
So okay, I mean it's crazy to say this now. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I did think at one point last week, I want to say I did feel like Gronk was going to be the X factor, because I did think he was going to be the X factor. I mean, if you look at Kelsey and their tight end being as dominant and being as successful for their offense as he was for the Chiefs, I mean, you have to look at the counterpart to that and say, okay, well, Gronk is the only guy in the NFL who could have played up to his level in his prime, or when he was still playing, or when he was healthy, right? And we saw the Rob Gronkowski of old in the game yesterday, so much so that yes, he scored the first two touchdowns of the game, and the third touchdown that the Bucs had, or the fourth one, or whatever, the first one coming out of halftime, Gronk had like a 30-yard gain to set up that run for Leonard Fournette to
Where
score
Tyrann
that
Matthew was just
touchdown.
like, "What are you doing?"
And so, no, I mean, I wanted to say it on the show last week that I think Gronk was going to be an X factor. I guess I didn't say it because I'm known for my hot takes and how terrible they are, and that would have just been another
No, you're
terrible
known for
hot
knowing
take.
stuff about you're known for having hindsight.
Hey, I'm seeing in 2021 vision this year in the bill. I don't know about you, but I got 2021 vision right now.
Mr.
So,
Hindsight 2021.
um, speaking of 2021, the season is over. Patrick Mahomes, we talked about him. What do you have to say about Patrick Mahomes?
Listen, if anyone, for any reason, at any point, at any time, for any reason, if anyone is doubting Patrick Mahomes' skill level, you got to rewatch the game. You got to rewatch what's happening because Mahomes is still the best quarterback in football.
Okay.
Yes, ahead of Aaron Rodgers. Yes, ahead of Russell Wilson. Yes, ahead of Deshaun Watson. Mahomes is the number one quarterback in football.
He is the heir apparent, as one would say, to the one and only Tom Brady.
Air
Um,
Mahomes.
Aaron Mahomes. But okay, I don't disagree with you, Nabeel. I mean, we all know that
Are you
Patrick
sure you
Mahomes.
don't? Are you
Okay,
sure?
so hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. We know Patrick Mahomes is really good. There's two or three things that I would say to poke holes in that argument just for fun, because we still got a little bit of time left to talk about shit. One is that this was the first double-digit loss of Patrick Mahomes' career, which is great. That's an amazing statistic. I think the real interesting part then becomes how does he bounce back from this, right? Because if he takes them to the Super Bowl next year, excellent. If how does he bounce back from the worst loss of his career, which wasn't even that bad of a loss? One, two, he now has to deal with what a lot of other teams and good quarterbacks in the NFL have to deal with, unfortunately, on a yearly basis, which is injuries. Dude, there's so many teams in the NFL who just don't have the offensive linemen to play through every game and stuff like that. Yes, everybody plays hurt. Everybody plays hurt. But when you actually have a battered offensive line that has holes in it, I mean, there are other quarterbacks, and I would criticize Matt Ryan for the same issue all the time. Oh, he can't do this. He can't do this. And at one point, the response was, well, he doesn't have a line. So how does Patrick Mahomes now move forward without the perfect ideal conditions for him to perform at his best level? I think it goes back again to how does he respond to this moment right here? And then three, it's is Patrick Mahomes the best right now because he's the one we've seen the least of. Now, what I mean by that is Russell Wilson, his first Super Bowl, he won. His second Super Bowl, he lost on a terrible play call or a great defensive play, which is how I like to look at it. And then he hasn't been back to the Super Bowl ever since. right? But at this point, Russell Wilson's been in the league for like 6-7 years or so. Patrick Mahomes is technically still on his rookie contract, right? I mean, 3 or 4 years into the league. So our gauge of what his value and potential is a limited sample size compared to what we've seen from Aaron Rodgers, from Drew Brees, from Russell Wilson, from Ben Roethlisberger, all of these other quarterbacks I've named who are in that upper echelon category of great NFL quarterbacks now or when they were playing. And that could have competed with Patrick Mahomes had they ever had the opportunity to in the Super Bowl or other. So that's my only thing is like Russell Wilson lost his second Super Bowl and we thought, oh, well, this guy's good. He'll be back, and he hasn't been back. Can and will Patrick Mahomes get back to a Super Bowl when now contracts are going to come into play? There are going to be guys who leave the Chiefs for more money. There are going to be guys like Eric Fisher. He had a serious injury. He might be back in time for next season, but probably not. How does he respond to that? And I think that's what will tell us how great he really is. There's no denying that he's good. But we've only seen 3 or 4 years of Patrick Mahomes. We've seen 6 or 7 from Wilson, a dozen plus from Brady, a dozen plus from Rodgers, a dozen plus from Brees. We've seen even more from Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan too, right? That's kind of where my stance is on that.
I mean, that's fine. I get it. And look, we've seen the trend. When the team loses the Super Bowl, they don't make the playoffs the following year. Will Mahomes break that trend? I mean, you're in the division with Justin Herbert coming up, in a division where John Gruden at any point may get a new quarterback, in a division with
and
Vic
beat the
Fangio.
Chiefs earlier this year. Just to point
Yeah.
out, he did beat the Chiefs. Yes.
Yeah, and a division where Vic Fangio had a top 10 defense and could potentially make a move for a great quarterback. So, yes, your division isn't amazing, but it's on the rise, not on the way down. Now, do I expect Kansas City to make the playoffs next year? Yes. Do I expect them to have a Super Bowl hangover? No, I do not. So right now, I mean, you're looking at a number. You're looking at Vegas, the favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. It's not Tampa. It's Kansas City.
Yeah, right. What is it, 5-1?
I'm not sure, but I know Kansas City's number one. The Buffalo Bills are number 2, and I believe Packers and then Tampa.
Right.
So, I mean, but there's a lot of offseason to go around, and a lot of changes that could happen. We'll get to the offseason in a minute, but I have a question for you, Asif.
Tab.
All right. So I know you're not good at math. I know you've struggled in math your entire life. So I'm going to ask you this question.
2 plus 2 equals 22. What's up?
No. What is greater, 7 or 6?
7. But
Okay.
I want to say 6 still, because I know where you're going with this. I still want to say 6, but
and this hurts me to ask, and it hurts me to what my opinion on this is. But is Tom Brady? Tom Brady? I don't even know his name anymore. Is Thomas Brady greater than Michael Jordan?
Side note, anytime I hear Thomas in a football conversation, my mind immediately goes to Dimitrov. So shout out to the Falcons because it's still a Falcons podcast. But is Tom Brady a greater champion than Michael Jordan? I think that's or greater.
Nope, that's not what I'm asking. Is Tom
he...
Brady greater than Michael Jordan? You can look at it as a brand, as a person, as football versus basketball. You can look at however you want. Just Tom Brady, Michael Jordan.
My answer is still no. I think Michael Jordan is better. I think Michael Jordan's success is more meaningful and has more of an impact. And here's a couple of reasons why. One, football is the ultimate team sport. I get you can't deny that, right? However, in football, you got to win one game. Tom Brady's had to win less games per season to win a championship than Michael Jordan had to win to get out of the first round in every playoff series that he ever won, right? Or just about, 3 or 4 games. At least Michael Jordan had to win in each round to get to the next round. And then ultimately to win the championship, he had to win 4 games. Tom Brady had to win 3 games this year, I think is what it was, or 4 games this year to win the championship. And in most of his career, he's had to win 3. And there's no denying that he played in the easiest division in the NFL for like 15 years with New England. And okay, because you could negate the coaches, right? Belichick and Phil Jackson might be the two greatest coaches at what they did at that professional level. I still think Michael Jordan's accomplishments are greater because there's more required of a guy like Michael Jordan on the court or / on the field than there is of Tom Brady. And to your point, we even talked about it. The Bucs won the Super Bowl this year because of their defense. I mean, I would say like 60-40, it was their defense. It's not 70-30. So Tom Brady had nothing to do with that, unfortunately. He won. He's going to get the glory. He's going to get the 7th ring. And is he the greatest quarterback of all time? Without a doubt. He's the best NFL player we've probably ever seen, probably will ever see. But I still think Michael Jordan's legacy is more meaningful and more valid and more legitimate than Tom Brady's. But that's not to say that one isn't good or great.
So this hurts me to say, but right now I may, and I'm going to give myself authority to change my opinion at any time I want. So no one give me shit on this.
Yeah.
I can give myself authority to change my opinion anytime, but right now, hot take of the day, Tom Brady is the greatest. I put him above Jordan. I'll tell you why. All right. Jordan had 3 parts of his career. He had his rookie till his first retirement. Second, his comeback to his second retirement, and then the Wizards. Wizards, he was still a great player, but he did nothing. He didn't even make the playoffs when he was on the Wizards. He didn't even make the playoffs. I think that might have been the first time in Jordan's career where he didn't make the playoffs. Tom Brady left New England, went to Tampa, and yes, they had a great defense. Yes, they had everything set up for him. But he came in a pandemic where there was no training camp. He literally was meeting people day one of practice. There was no meeting beforehand. He literally walked into the wrong house when he was trying to meet his offensive coordinator. He went to the wrong house. Remember that story? He just broke into someone's house.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And he won the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Other thing. So right now, so whenever you say Jordan never did it without Phil, well, no one talks about the flip side because Phil did it without Jordan.
Right.
Phil has more rings than Jordan does, correct?
Yeah.
Well, now if you flip the script, Tom Brady has more rings than Belichick.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady has more rings than any NFL franchise.
Right. Hey, I'm not saying that
that's
they're
not
not
even
great.
That's not even something that the greatest Bill Russell has. Bill Russell doesn't have more rings than the Celtics, but Tom Brady has more rings than any team in football.
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
That's the ultimate flex.
That's an absolutely phenomenal point. And on top of that, to add to that, Tom Brady has been to the Super Bowl 10 times.
Yeah.
Like he has 7, but he's been to 10, which in itself is kind of an amazing statistic too.
The other thing is, I'll say this. I mean, like if you ask if you ask anyone pre-millennial, like, all right, tell me your favorite quarterbacks growing up, they'll probably give you 3 different quarterbacks, one from their teenage age, one from their mid-20s and their early
coming
30s.
Of age.
Yeah, right? So if you ask a millennial and if you ask a zillennial, I think that's a thing, it's Tom Brady all around. I mean, yeah, they may have their own favorites, but that's the one who's always a constant there. Tom Brady has spanned 3 decades.
Yeah.
No, 4 decades. He has spanned 4 decades.
So
Jordan didn't span 4 decades.
I think it's just 3, actually, just to be clear.
The 90s, I think Brady came in the 90s. I think his first championship was 2000 when he won it. but he was in 99-2000 season, I believe. I could be wrong. Or maybe Brady was drafted 2000. I'm sorry. Brady was drafted 1999, but his first championship was 2001. I apologize. But Brady has played 4 decades. He played in the 90s. He played 99, but the 90s, 2000s, 2010, 2020. 4 decades.
Well, okay, I got a thing here from WFLA, which is a Florida news channel. It says Tom Brady's the first quarterback to win in 3 decades. He won his first Super Bowl in 2002, so 2001 season. So 2000s, 2010, and then this decade. So I think it'd be 3, but you might be better at math.
But he played in 4. He played in 4 decades. I mean, Brady's the only player left from the 90s in football right now, I believe.
That's fair. I mean, I guess, yeah.
He was drafted in 1999. I know that. I'm 99% sure.
But then I guess in a way, that's almost like, I mean, almost like saying Vince Carter is the best NBA player of the last 3 decades.
I didn't know. Vince Carter didn't win a ring, so no, that's
why I said it's almost like. But in the sense of like he's the only one who's played that much time, so he's the only one who qualifies for that statistic.
But the other thing is Vince Carter's play was nowhere near Brady's play on that. Brady is still a top 10 quarterback.
Again, I said almost, and
I don't think almost even works. So
okay, well that's fair. But then,
on that.
Would Tom Brady have been as successful in New England this season if he had a better receiving core? Was that the only thing he was missing? Because I heard that argument be made too. He could have stayed in New England if he just had somebody to throw the ball to, or maybe he had never actually lost it. He just never had anybody to catch the ball. Because you got to think about it. After Gronk retired, he wasn't nearly as great as he was with Gronk.
What can you have your laptop, right? What was Tom Brady's numbers last year?
Okay. Let's see. This might take a minute, but
and while you're listening, today's episode is brought to you by beer. It is a beverage that is made of malt, hops, barley, and water. It is quite delicious and quite fragrant as well. We recommend beer to drink very safely. I recommend you grab some beer from your local establishment. We would recommend places like Variant, Exhibit Ale, Good Word, Oak Street Bottle Shop, and many other locations.
All right. So one thing that's actually probably kind of astounding to me is Tom Brady's record, or the Patriots record last year in Tom Brady's final season there was 12-4. This year, the Bucs record was 11-5. He has actually had a better record than the regular season last year, which is crazy. I don't know how many people would have expected that. He had 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year, and then he had 40 touchdowns and 12 interceptions this year. This is all according to Pro Football Reference.
That's fine. Well, so he had 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year. That is still a phenomenal season. How many yards?
Pretty good. Sorry, what's up? How many yards?
How many yards?
Where's this number at? I know I can see it somewhere.
It's with the Y.
He had 4,057 yards last year, and then 4,600 yards this year. 4,633 to be exact.
Look, again, I'm a Bears fan, and I don't know anything about quarterbacks. But if you would have given me 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions this year, and 4,000 yards passing, the Bears would have been in the Super Bowl, in my opinion. All right. That's okay. That's enough talking about Super Bowl and Bears. But I do want to make one note before we do move on. Asif, did you know we had a back-to-back champion last night?
Back-to-back champion last night. In terms of somebody won the championship twice.
Yes.
I think spoiler alert, because I think I know where you're going at. Is it a one LaShawn Shady McCoy?
It's so shady that not only is he a back-to-back champion, but he also is the only player, I believe, in NFL history to win back-to-back Super Bowls without playing in back-to-back Super Bowls. I mean, if that's not the coolest guy ever, I don't know what else. He has 2 rings and didn't play in the game, didn't even have a snap, but he has 2 rings.
I almost forgot that he was still in the league, and I didn't even realize that he was on either team. I know he played for the Chiefs a little bit last year. I didn't even think he made the playoff roster, honestly. But I mean, yeah, I can't say too much, but personal opinion, I do think that he and Antonio Brown are like some shady guys. I'll just leave it at that. So I don't know how I feel about them winning, but it is what it is. I got another question to ask you in the book because I almost forgot we had to talk about this, so we got to make this somewhat quick, but it's going to be a good topic of conversation for all you Bears fans out there. You said you wanted 24-8. What if I told you a former potential NFL MVP, potential Super Bowl winner could be on the Bears next year? His name is Carson Wentz. He's also a former top draft pick. Since I know, that kind of means something, no?
What am I giving up? What am I giving up?
What are you giving up? Let's see. I mean, there's a lot of Nick Foles might be going back to Philly. I think that's one of the things in play.
So I'll tell you the rumors because I don't want you to Google it. So I know what's happening right now, and I am keeping up with it. So there are rumors out there right now that the Bears are hot and heavy for one Carson Wentz. Right now, they're saying it's between the Bears and the Colts. Asif, could you just browse Twitter real quick to make sure the trade isn't official? Well, I do.
I just googled Bears Carson Wentz, and there were no fireworks, my friend.
No official yet. Okay, cool. So the rumor right now is that the Bears would be sending a first-round pick, a 2022 third-round pick, and Nick Foles. In return, the Bears would potentially be getting Carson Wentz and maybe Zach Ertz. Now, Zach Ertz is a question mark. Some rumors saying he's in. Some rumors are saying he's out. There are other rumors out there saying that it could be, a first-round pick, Nick Foles, Tariq Cohen, for Carson Wentz in a second. Regardless, I don't want Carson Wentz. I believe the Bears have better options than Carson Wentz this offseason. It's very simple. Asif, would you rather? I'm going to give you a would you rather. It's a would you rather Monday. Would you rather trade one first-round pick for Carson Wentz or trade 2 first-round picks for Dak Prescott?
I would rather have Dak Prescott, personally. I mean, I guess he's coming off the injury, but still, I would think Dak Prescott is better.
And I think it's simple as that. I mean, if you're going to trade a first-round pick, you're basically – if you're trading a first-round pick for a quarterback, and if you're considering –
he better be good.
Yeah. I mean, so I think that was going back to the Matt Stafford thing because the Bears were rumored for Matt Stafford as well. The Bears were rumored to offer more than a first-round draft pick for Matt Stafford. So if you're trading more than a first-round pick for a quarterback this year and you're the Chicago Bears, just stop what you're doing. It's very simple. Go offer Dak Prescott more money than the Cowboys because I don't think Dak wants to be on the Cowboys anymore. The Cowboys have lost his trust. The Cowboys essentially fucked him over. So just offer Dak Prescott enough money and he'll be a Bear. And you know what? You could structure his contract to make it easier on your salary cap. And all you're giving up is 2 first-round picks when in reality, you're going to be trading a first-round pick either this year or next year. You're going to be spending a first-round pick either this year or next year on a quarterback anyway. If you trade for Carson Wentz and send a first-round pick this year, there's no guarantee he'll even be in your roster 2 years from now.
Right.
Just take the safe bet and go get Dak. Now, I know I was supposed to talk about Wentz and not Dak, so I'll say this. Wentz has statistically put up the best numbers. If you take Wentz's history and put him on the Bears, he would have put up the best numbers in Bears Chicago football quarterback history. Fine. But he's also very injury prone. He's not, from the rumors, he's not a very likable guy at quarterback. And the problem is when you're telling me that you're trading me Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz, and I want Zach Ertz more than Carson Wentz, that should tell you right there that Wentz isn't your guy.
Right. If anything, go get Dak Prescott and then go get Wentz. Or go get Ertz. Just get them together. Right. Yeah.
So I don't like these rumors. I don't like it. I feel like this is going to blow up in the Bears' face. I feel the Bears are going to spend too many assets on Carson Wentz, and then we're going to be without a draft. We're going to be without draft capital for the next 2 years, and then no head coach is going to want to come to Chicago because it's going to be a full-on rebuild. And you have essentially wasted Khalil Mack's career in Chicago because you traded so much draft capital with him, and you already wasted his first 3 years with a Mitch Trubisky, and you're going to go get Carson Wentz, who literally needs to be rebuilt it's not the right move. It's really not.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's funny how history tends to repeat itself from time to time because I feel like the Bears have done this before. They're
Jay
just going to
Cutler.
shit the bed. Right, exactly. So that's that.
Jay Cutler was a success.
Right. But, anyway. Well, other than when he challenged the touchback rule that could have potentially prevented the Chiefs from even being in the Super Bowl this season had it been overturned. But the season's over. That's over.
Okay.
I wonder how much of Matt Nagy is calling for Carson Wentz because that's his boy. They used to work together. I assume that's kind of like the whole hang
They
up
never
there.
worked together. Matt Nagy and Wentz never worked together.
Okay, well then that settles that. We will be back when there is more Bears talk. I got two things I want to say before we go off the air in the bill. One, I gotta give a shout out to my Mizzou Tigers because Mizzou men's college basketball is in the AP top 10. And there are now two Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in Mizzou football history. That's right, baby. Chase Daniel with the Aints. We don't really talk about that. And Blaine Gabbert with the Bucs. I guess we're not going to talk about that either because they have both played for the NFC South and won Super Bowls in the NFC South without the main team in the NFC South that we care about on the show.
Wait. So you're telling me if the Falcons trade for what's the Broncos
Blaine
quarterback?
Gabbert?
No,
Blaine
the
Gabbert?
Broncos quarterback.
Drew Lock.
If the Falcons trade for Drew Lock, guaranteed Super Bowl.
No.
NFC South, Missouri quarterbacks win Super Bowls.
Oh, I wasn't. That's not the slant that I was taking. I was just saying that Missouri quarterbacks have won. No, I said they have won.
I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But the trend is if a Missouri quarterback is a backup quarterback for an NFC South team, that's a guaranteed Super Bowl.
I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, I'm doing my thinking phase. However, I would just say that the Falcons have a top 4 pick in the NFL draft this year, so maybe you don't need to trade for a quarterback. You just
trade for Drew Lock. Trade the number 4 pick for Drew Lock.
Nabeel has admitted that he does not. I'm looking directly at the camera to you, listener. Nabeel has admitted he does not know anything about quarterbacks. So do not trade for Drew Lock if you're Mr. Terry Fontenot, although we do appreciate you listening. And you're welcome to come on the show anytime. Now, back to what I was saying. Mizzou men's basketball is in the top 10. I'm wearing my sweatshirt proudly. It feels different to wear my sweatshirt now that we're actually good. So shout out to them. And the best part about that is our biggest rival, Kansas, which is a notorious college basketball powerhouse, isn't even ranked. It's kind of amazing. It's a great time to be a Missouri Tiger because you've got a Super Bowl winning QB as your alum, and you're in the top 10. And then, Nabeel, I know we normally like to end the show on a prediction. However, there's no football for us to predict. But I'm going to throw you a bone out here. Daytona 500. You know I'm a NASCAR fan. It's coming back next Sunday. I still got plenty of TV to watch. I don't know about you guys, but I got plenty of TV to watch. Daytona 500 next Sunday. Who's winning? Do you know anybody?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
He's not in it. You got another guess?
Jimmy Johnson?
He just retired, actually. He just retired. This is his last season. I'll give you one more. That would have been a good one. I'm surprised that you even know him, to be honest. That's pretty good.
Tony Stewart.
I think that's like way old. I think he's been retired. But, the one time we went to NASCAR, I think Brad Keselowski won that race, so he's still in it. And your boy, for 2311 Racing, Mr. Bubba Wallace, has a new team this year. He's going to race in number 23 as part of Michael Jordan's racing team. So Michael Jordan doesn't care about Super Bowls, having less rings than Tom Brady. He's trying to win the Daytona 500, baby. He's got Bubba Wallace driving the
I got one more.
car.
Ricky Bobby.
Hey, if this is Talladega, he might win. Nabeel wins. Nabeel, you're the winner, all right? My prediction for the Daytona 500 is going to be Joey Logano, even though he sucks. I mean, he's really good. But that doesn't matter because Nabeel said it. It's Ricky Bobby. It's Carson Wentz to the Bears. That's why there's a C on the side of the helmet. It's like made for him to be there. It's a marketing gold mine if you're listening down there in the Hallis Hall at Soldier
I
Field.
mean, they already got Cutler on the Bears, and that was a C marketing gold mine, so that didn't work out.
But you just said it was a success.
It
So
was.
now you just need to have quarterbacks with C's. So I think Cam Newton would have been a really great acquisition. But that's all we got on the show for y'all today. My name is Asif. The guy
I'm
who's
thinking of another quarterback with C that I really want, but my name is Nabeel. That's not a C.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad Kyler Murray doesn't start with a C because that would have been pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
We'll get there, you know. But at
Carson
Bears,
Palmer?
It could have worked. It could have worked. At one point in time, it could have worked, my friend.
At Bears, Birds, and Brews.
See ya.
Colin Kaepernick.
We out.